So, hello to everybody. I hope you can still hear me. So we're going to move into the second part of the presentation. And so we are going to look at the whole system of Erasmus Plus GA1 and now from the point of view of the course provider. So what's in it for us and what are the consequences? And in order to do that, I would like to wrap up a little bit the very important, the relevant changes for the course providers that are in Erasmus Plus, and you see them here listed. First of all, so it is organization based. That means that our target group are still individual teachers and trainers and staff that are in education, but at application stage, the whole system is based on organizations, and so this means that it is the head of the school plus perhaps the coordinators and some groups of teachers and so on. They will create their European development plan, and all the relevance for the professional development is at organizational level. That's one thing that is very important, and so we as course organizers have to see to it that the relevance and the impact is also at organization level. Then it is a free course market. You will probably see at line 4 that there is no database anymore, and that's exactly the case. So there is no course database, not for Comenius, not for Grundtvig anymore. So it is a free market. If a school creates a European development plan, then if a school creates a European development plan, then they can go for courses wherever they like. Yes. Then also something very important. Sorry? Yeah, wherever they like, but within the program countries. But I mean, whatever type of course, the courses are not linked to projects anymore. In the past, especially for Comenius database, there were courses linked or created within the LLB program. That's not a requirement anymore. So this means that there is the free market, so they can look for courses on the market, of course, within the program countries. So you cannot go to the Seychelles for a course. Then in terms of number of days, that was already mentioned. For formal courses, there used to be a minimum of 5 days. That is not a requirement anymore. The minimum now is 2 days, but 2 days on site. So it must be 2 full days, as already has been said, 2 full days, course days, and then added 2 travel days. Again, there is no database, so which means that there are, of course, problems for us course providers to get the whole world known that our courses are on, not the whole world, but the rest of Europe, because our target groups are always abroad, and so that's a problem. There were many comments on the database. But of course now there is no database whatsoever, and that's another problem, of course, a big one. Then we have to be careful with this sentence: no European dimension rules anymore. What does it mean? That in the past, in order to get on that database that we just mentioned, there were some rules that, for instance, the trainers must come from different countries, so that you must have an international training team. Also, that there were minimum requirements for the participants to come from different countries, and maximum 1/3 of the participants could come from the same country. So that type of rules to get an international target group, to get an international training team, that is not a requirement anymore. That does not mean, of course, that the European dimension is not important. I will come back to that later. Then we also have to take into account that the grant is smaller. As you learn from Renilde, the grant is based on lump sums or unit costs. That means that the travel is based on distance bands. The subsistence and accommodation costs are based on the type of country that you go to. So there is a full list in the the guidelines, where you can see that, for instance, in Sweden, the daily allowance is so and so and so, and so these are the ceilings, these are the maximum. That in Sweden the sum is so, and in Belgium it is like this height, and then in Spain it is different. So the grants, the subsistence cost and accommodation costs are based on lump sums. Yeah. And it depends also on the national agency what percentage they will allocate to the ceilings that are written in the guidelines. And then there is, and that is important, it's already been said, there is the course fee, which is only €70 per day, which it used to be €150 per day for participants. So this is really considerably lower. And then there is another part of the grant, which is kind of lump sum, which is €350 per person per organization, which is a kind of administrative cost that normally goes to the organization, but it can be an option of the organization to put it in the fee, because we have to realize as course providers that the grant that our participants get is smaller than it used to be. And if you look at, for instance, a 4-day course where we multiply €70 per day multiplied by 4 is €280 for a participant coming to a course, I think we all realize that it is very difficult to organize a quality course for this sum. So we have to take that into account. On the other hand, I have to say, of course, this is a market situation. There is no we organize courses, we organize the venue, we organize the whole content and the presenters and the speakers and the workshop leaders. It is up to us to decide the cost of our course. And the whole system now is conceived in that way, that it is up to us to say this course will cost 500 or 600 euro per person, per participant. But we have to know that the participants will receive a smaller grant than our course costs. And then, of course, the whole system is like that, the organization, the school, the sending organization is supposed to co-fund the participation or co-fund the participants for this course. Another element is that it is needs-driven, which is different from the previous situation. The previous situation was that there was a database, so and there the course providers offered their courses, so it was offer-driven. But now it is the other way around. There is no database anymore. There are needs, there are applications that go to the national agencies, and in these applications, the needs of the organization are taken into account, and of course they are also linked to the European objectives that were described by Renilde in part 1. So I think this is a wrapping up of the consequences of the new rules, the consequences that we have to take into account as IST, as course providers. Now, we have been working within GINCO on a number of quality criteria, and I've added 2 question marks there, because this is a bit of a combination of the quality criteria that are created by the GINCO network and the quality criteria that were mentioned during a conference that took place at the end of last year, at the end of 2013 in Cologne. It was a conference organized by the German National Agency, and there we had the representatives of the European Commission, a high number of national agencies there, and a high number of course providers, and it was good for us to meet. So for course providers meet the national agencies and the person from the Commission, and there we discussed the new situation for courses to be offered within the framework of GA1 Erasmus+. And also there we talked about quality criteria. So there was a kind of workshop where the course providers and NA people discussed about what is a quality course for us, course providers, and for us national agencies. And here you see a number of these criteria. Of course, this is what we call quality criteria. It will be very difficult to score very high on all 11 criteria, but I think these are elements for us course providers to look at. And here on point number 1, you already see European dimension and added value as number 1. I just said in my previous slide that that there are no official European dimension rules anymore in terms of let's say participants from different countries, but we still think this is very important. What is the European dimension of a course? You have to realize that if schools or adult education organizations, if they create a European development plan, or let's call it a professional development plan for their organization, they can choose between courses in their country and courses abroad. So the question is, why would a school or an adult education organization apply for a course abroad? What is the added value of a European course? And that's up to us to fill in these requirements of quality European course. So what's the added value of a European course? First of all, I think the added value will be that as a participant you come into contact with trainers from other countries, that you meet, sorry, there is somebody and I have to, okay, sorry, I had to mute Laura. Okay, now I think we're back. So the European dimension of a course is exactly what people are looking for if they apply for a course abroad. So that can be people from trainers from other countries coming into contact with other education systems, with innovative practice from another country. But you also meet colleagues from other countries. It is innovative. What is done within these courses is linked to the European objectives and so on. So the course should be, of course, relevant for the work in your country. So there are a number of quality elements linked to the European dimension, and I think that it is very important for us international course providers to give evidence that this European course is worth coming to and that there is an added value compared to a national course. Point 2, response to needs and EU objectives. We know the EU objectives now, and this, by the way, this presentation will go on the website of GINCO.T. But it is very important that our courses respond to needs. Of course, it is also, and it's going to be a problem, how do we know the needs of the course providers? We might I might come back to that later. Sorry, that's a mistake. How do we know the needs of the applicants and of the adult education organizations in their professional development? I will come back to that. Another quality element is innovative didactics and competence-oriented approach. So that's of course quality. So in what way do you present the course material? So are the didactics that you use, are they up to date, or especially not old-fashioned, of course? Is it competence-oriented? We all know that competences nowadays are very important within a European context and within the European jargon. Think of the European framework for key competences. Is our course presented in terms of competence development? And I would like to point to number 4 again. Is it presented in terms of learning outcomes? We just learned in part 1 that the schools and the adult education organizations, they have to think in terms of learning outcomes. They have to create a kind of learning agreement with the course organizers. So in that respect, it is very important that we as course organizers also present our courses in terms of competence acquisition and in terms of learning outcomes, in order to communicate this to the target group. Then follow-up and transfer is also a very important element. We're talking about international courses. In what way is what the participants learn at the course, in what way is it applicable in the other countries or in the country of origin? So follow-up and transfer into the other country and into the daily job of the participant is also very important, and I refer to the next one, impact at school or adult education organization. Here we see that the exploitation of the learning outcomes in the organization of the participant, that is a very important issue, and it's also something that must be evidenced or let's say proved in the application, that there are a number of steps to make this exploitation and impact coming through. Evaluation and quality care. You as course organizer, do you have a self-evaluation system? Do you have quality care mechanisms within the course? That's also an element of quality. Appropriate use of ICT. So we all know that courses are very short. The face-to-face phase is rather short, and now it is between 2 days and 2 months. Of course, 2 months is very long, but most of the courses that we organize will be limited to 2, 3, 4, or 5 working days. And then we also know that there is an important pre-course phase and post-course phase. And there ICT will play a very important role. Preparation phase, using ICT, using Skype, using WebEx, or whatever means there are, using a platform, appropriate use of ICT during the course, during the face-to-face phase, and then of course the follow-up phase. So appropriate use of ICT is also very important. Then quality of content, relevance of content, novelty, innovation, relevance, that is also quality criteria. Then we have, which is going to be more and more important, validation of learning outcomes, accreditation, possibly, if possible, links with validation systems. Think of Europass, think of other systems, think of level 5. That kind of things are very important as well. And then attention for professional, personal, and social development. Most courses pay a lot of attention to professional development. On the other hand, we have to realize that the European added value of a course can be or can lie within the realm of personal and social development. You go abroad, you are in another culture, you are working with other people and other nationalities, and it's important that this personal and social development is also taken care of, and even also presented as competences and learning outcomes. Okay, so these are quality criteria, again, not to be ticked as boxes and make sure that we cover all of it. That is going to be very difficult, I guess. But these are, let's say, points for attention when you look at your course and when you look at the quality of your course and the added value of your course as a European course. Now, there are some other elements here. Here we see outreach and quality check, and again, these are elements that came out of the discussion during the Cologne conference. There was a lot attention paid to the European dimension. So within the discussions, people really said the European dimension, that is the exclusive added value of the type of courses that we deliver. So we have to pay attention to that, to the other cultures, the multiple nationality of the participants or the team, using the locality where you are, all that kind of things, and so that is very important. Then there was a question of quality. I mean, the previous slide was a large number of quality criteria. The question is, who is going to check this? How are we sure that we fit the quality criteria? Are we going to create quality courses, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, up to 5-star courses, and even who would be doing that? So at this moment, there is no rating system. And there might be a need for such a rating system, but at this moment there is no body or organization doing that. Feedback to NAs, because in the present system, as we are going to face it in the future, schools on adult education organizations are going to present or apply for their professional or European development plan. They will, and that will last for 1 year or 2 years. And after that 1 year or 2 years, they will send in their reports, and then they will report about the courses they attended. And so there is, let's say, quite a slow feedback system from the participant side to the funding mechanism to the national agencies. So the course providers at the Cologne conference suggested that there should be perhaps a quicker feedback system to the NAs. People even talked about a public feedback system compared to that of hotels, where you can go to a website of, let's say, booking.com, where you find public feedback systems where people who went to a hotel rated the hotel with a number of stars or a percentage of 80%, 85 or lower. It depends, of course. Of course, this should be then a kind of closed feedback system that there is a loop, so at least that we know who is giving the feedback. Otherwise, I mean, we all know that with the hotel system, there are possibilities that you rate your own hotel, and so in this case that you rate your own course, which wouldn't be good. Consortia. At this moment, we see a reaction of a number of course providers that they are creating consortia of course providers in order to bundle their efforts for publicity, create a website. We are a consortium of 5 course providers, and these are the courses that we provide, so that they have a range of courses that they combine their efforts for publicity, that they combine all the databases they have for sending out the publicity and so on. So that is a reaction that a number of course providers have at this moment. At the conference, there was also the discussion about we do need some sort of database. We need a place where the courses are listed. But then the question again came up, which courses? Do we list all courses? Also the bad ones? Because let's face it, there is a variety of quality in these courses. So then they mentioned a quality disclaimer, so that this is a listing of courses, but we cannot guarantee the quality of these courses. That was a point of discussion. Is it worth creating such a system or not? There were also some suggestions that this database could go on the platforms of eTwinning and EPAL, so the future platform EPAL. So these are platforms for school education. eTwinning is a platform for school education, and EPAL will be the international platform for adult education. There have been talks with eTwinning already in order to take on board this role of database creation of course providers. If it will happen, it will certainly not happen in 2014, but perhaps in 2015 already. EPAL is not there yet, so it is one thing is for sure: in 2014 we will have to work with the fact that there is no database at all. Another suggestion was, why shouldn't we have a kind of database of demands and needs? So not a database of course providers, but a database of schools where they list their needs and their needs for so-and-so course. Yes, that's the other side of the coin. That's also a possibility. And then there has been a discussion at the Cologne conference about funding and quality. So it is clear that the funding is going to be smaller, so a participant will have a smaller grant. I already said there has to be co-funding from the organization sending the participant. Question is, will the organizations do it? And then how will course providers react to this? Will they lower the participation fee of their courses? In what way will it affect the quality of a course? Face it, if you have a good course and for that course you used to invite 4 trainers from all over Europe, fly them in, give them the hotel room and make them run the workshops and give presentations, with the present course fee you cannot do that anymore. So the question is, how will we as course providers react to this? Stick to a high price of course fee and risk that we have less participants? Or are we going to lower the fee and then also perhaps lower the quality? So that was the reaction there. Good. I can tell you a little bit more about the role of GINCO. And in GINCO we have created the competence profile of an IST course provider. And here you see that there will be a number of elements coming back, quality elements coming back. So these are not competences, these are competence areas. So a course provider should have competences in the area of educational development and planning, of competence-oriented learning, should have competences in the area of quality care and evaluation, on validation, on public relations and outreach, on attention to the EU dimension, on appropriate use of ICT, on providing social and professional support, and on management and organization. We, within GINCO, we are creating material, background material, tools, and all kinds of material. We are creating this to help and support course providers to acquire and develop the competences in these fields. And from next week, by the way, we will be running, I think, we will be running a GRUNFI course for GRUNFI course organizers, where we will tackle all these competence areas. So the first pilot course within the GINCO Tools and Training project is next week from 17 to 21st of February, and we have 25 participants for that course. There will be another one in Italy in September, and there will also be a conference on this topic also in September within the frame of our project. And so we as GINCO network, the GRUNFI International Network of Course Organizers, we will continue to work on communication and networking, and we also will continue on creation of a quality label for course organizers. But of course, GINCO, the project and the network were born in lifelong learning circumstances. Now we have to adapt to Erasmus Plus rules and circumstances as well, and we are working on that. So please follow the story of GINCO on the website of this project, so www.ginconet.eu. And this is the ending of my presentation. You see here that there is a recording of this webinar, and I have to admit that I forgot to press the button in the first in the first 15 minutes. So we will miss the first 15 minutes on the recording of this webinar. I think now it is time for additional questions. So we are 2, and we will try to answer. We will try to answer your questions. So now again, it is time to answer questions. Right. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. So.
Can you hear us? The whole clear?
Yeah. Okay. So there are really a high number of questions. So there is one question from. I will try to start here. You are talking about sending organization or providers. So what's the difference? The sending organization is a school or an adult education organization sending a participant to a course. The provider is the course provider, is the course organizer. Yes?
So people going on a learning mobility are sent by their home organization to somewhere abroad, to a course provider, if they choose for a structured course to follow or to attend. So those are the providers, the ones offering the courses.
There is a question from Nicolaus. Is there a template for European development plan?
Well, yes, you can find it in the application forms. The application forms for Key Action 1, they have been published on the website of national agencies and of the European Commission. You can find them there. And there you see the questions that are asked about, that give an outline of what this European development plan should look like. And as I told you, so it's concentrating on the needs of the staff that are going on a learning mobility and how they will be dealt with later on, how they will be selected, and so on. But it's clear that the applying organization has to point out why this international learning mobility is necessary for their organization.
There is a question from Iviginea. During the weekend, do we have to run training, or we can calculate the 10 days, Monday to Friday, for 2 weeks? So if you have a 10-day course, that's the question, what do you do with the weekend days in between?
Oh, that's a difficult question, Iviginea. If there are no activities, then obviously you can't ask for money. But if you organize activities at weekends, so things are going on, you're visiting places, you are still discussing, having workshops, then you're entitled to ask for money for those days, of course. But if you don't do anything and it's just leisure time, then you won't be able to ask for a participation fee.
Mm-hmm. There is a question from Ruggero. Is the PIC required for sending organizations only or for course providers too?
Well, it says that if you, as a course provider, and if you're known, I mean, if the people who apply want to indicate already that they are going to attend your course and they know that you're on, then you should they could indicate your PIC as well. A PIC, for the ones who don't know maybe, it's a personal identification code. Now this is mainly used for people going to job shadowing in an organization or on a learning mobility. But for courses, it's not really necessary, I think. But it's mainly there for people going on job shadowing in a host organization. So that organization should have a PIC. Now for course providers, not, I think. But of course, if you can indicate it, it's always better. And so as a course provider, you can ask for a PIC so that you're clearly identified who you are. But it's not necessary, not compulsory as far as I know.
Is there a limit for the number of learners to send for training? That's a question. So this is from the sending organization. Is there a limit for the number of learners to send for training?
No. You can apply in Key Action 1 for 1 person, or you can ask for 200 or for 100. And in that way, I have to say, but in the past, national agencies, as we didn't have that much funding, we often said that only 1 person could go to the same learning mobility activity or same course per organization. Now you could have 3 people from the same organization coming to your course. So in that way, maybe you can have more people from the same organization. But as we already said, it's important, we hope, that you keep the European dimension and the diversity of your people participating in your course, that you keep it as diverse as you can.
Will there be a data bank in order to find course participants? Do you have any advice for funding participants?
No, not for the time being. As we said, eTwinning might be helped there, but there's no real formal system so far. For school education, eTwinning might help. For adult education, we'll have EPAL, which is the European platform for adult learning, and there this will be a European platform for people working in non-formal and formal adult education. But this is starting up, so it's not really there. But so far, no, we don't have this. And I don't know whether agencies could be of some help. I don't know whether we'll have time and or the means and to help you there. Maybe we could, I don't know.
Yeah. So there are a number of questions on this database. I think we dealt with it. At this stage, there is no database, perhaps EPAL or eTwinning are going to play that role, or perhaps a consortium or a project will come out that can play that role. But at this moment, there is no database. And then, of course, there is the question: how can providers publish their course, or how can they make their course known by the potential participants? As we say at this moment, it is very difficult. You could, of course, try to network. Perhaps you have been running a course for a couple of years. You know you have participants. They can do the networking for you. You can group with course providers and use the whole databases or addresses that the group of course providers has. So there are a number of tips there, but it is at this moment really indeed very, very difficult. Make sure your course is well published on the internet. Make sure that through Google that people can find you. Last week we had an info afternoon for schools, and of course the schools they have the same problem. How can schools find you as a course provider? So on both sides, in this case, people are looking for each other, and so there we gave them the suggestion that they should, of course, Google a number of courses, and it's up to you to make sure that you use the right words. Use IST in service training, of course. Use the words Comenius and Grundtvig, because that limits the search by a school considerably. Use the words CPD, continuing professional development, etc. If you use the right jargon, I think that it must be easy for schools to find you through Google.
Virginia, you ask us, can you send trainee teachers to be trained abroad? Well, this depends on what kind of organization you really are. You have to see what, as a course provider, here you have, yeah, if you belong to the field, if you're entitled to announce yourself as an adult education organization, and your legal status and everything is okay, then you can ask for funding, of course. But you have to see at the guidelines for applicants whether your organization fits in that. And then, if it does, then of course you can ask for learning mobility for your staff.
Okay, I see a question here from Olga. Who receives the grant, the sending organization or the course provider? So it must be very clear that it is the sending organization who receives the grant. And of course, you will have your costs, you will have your bill to take part in the course. There is going to be the bill from the hotel and the restaurants, but this is the participant to pay the bill. The grant goes straight to the sending organization. Okay, I hope that that's clear.
Yeah, Carol, back you say the funding for a day if you don't arrive or leave on this day. No, it's not a course fee funding. I hope it's clear. We mixed it up a little bit. So, but the course fee funding is only for the days that your course is actually going on, that you're doing it. The funding for accommodation and subsistence will be granted to the beneficiary for the days that he's traveling, for the one day that he or she is traveling. Okay, I hope that's clear now.
Yep. So there are another question from Nicolaus. There are €350 for organizational support. Can some money from these go to a course organizer for preparing an assessment and validation the learning outcomes? So the 350 euro for organizational support will go to the sending organization. It is up to the sending organization if they want to use it and give it to the participant to help funding the participation. That's up to the organization. If you, as a course organizer, you do preparation and assessment and validation, that's up to you, and that may be in the price, the costs of your course. But you, so the course provider will decide on the price level of the course, everything included that he can, and it's the course participant who will pay the course provider with his grant and with probably some co-funding as well. And if that co-funding comes from the 350 euro, that's entirely up to the sending organization to decide where that co-funding money comes from.
The 350 euro for organizational support per person is for organizations that send less than 100 people out. If there is 101 and more people in the learning mobilities, then they get 200 euro per person. Now, somebody asked, is there a maximum for the number of people going on a learning mobility? No, there's not. The Commission doesn't impose any limit there. There's no maximum. So we can get applications for, let's say, 1,000 people to 5 or even 1.
But we have to be realistic here, of course. What school is going to send 100 teachers in 2 years abroad? Nobody is going to do that. So be realistic about the number of people that is sent by an organization. We guess that will be, if you have a big school or a big adult education organization and with a development plan of 2 years, they might send 10 people or perhaps 15 people over the 2 years, which is already a very quite a high number. Yes, so we have to be realistic here.
Somebody asks the question, well, if it's Andre asking, well, if the course finishes on Friday at approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon, can the organization then apply for a course fee or not? Well, it's a difficult question, of course, because how long does your noon break last? This is hard to say, but we in Flanders, we consider a working day as a 7-hour day. But this also depends on national agencies, perhaps, but and on traditions and whatever within countries. But well, we normally say a full working day for us. It's at least 7 hours.
Okay. Here again, can the co-funding for the course fee come from the lump sum for subsistence as well, and less be paid for subsistence? You don't have to look at the breakdown of these courses, of these fees. You have to look at your prices, your hotel, your course fee, and you ask the sum that is in market terms reasonable for your course. It's up to the participant to pay it. And then, of course, it's up to the organization sending the participant to decide where the money is going to come from. For the biggest part, of course, from the grant, and perhaps some extra money, and where that comes from is not our concern as course organizers. They get lump sums, they get unit prices. How they use the unit prices, that's to the discretion of the participant.
Gabi, you ask us, so if you are a consortium of 3 adult education organizations, then do you each have to have a PIC code? Yes, you do. So it's the 3 adult education organizations that are within the consortium for Key Action 1. They each have to put in the PIC code, not only the coordinating one.
Okay,
Is it obligatory for sending organizations? Yes, it is. It is obligatory for sending institutions. They all have to have a PIC code. And then here we're talking about the fields of adult education and the field of school education. not about VET, so not about the vocational training, nor for higher education, because here we are. Our presentation here today was only for the field of school education and adult education. Structured courses are not possible, are not funded for the vocational training. So that should also be very clear.
Another question here. According to the Erasmus Plus guide, you can't apply for course fees for VET learners and staff mobilities. Is that correct?
No, just answered that question, I think.
Okay, sorry, I missed that one. You said earlier that PIC was not necessary for course providers. Can you confirm that?
What is it?
You said earlier that the fixed
No,
code
not
was
really, no, because they don't. Well, if you can give it, then it's okay, but I mean, that's not obligatory as far as I know. I hope that that's correct, what I'm saying now. The program is also new for us, you know, as national agencies. We still have lots of questions for the permission, but normally not. It's mainly for people going on a job shadowing, and then they have to identify what organization they will be going to. But if you, as a course provider, do have a PIC, of course, why shouldn't you pass it on? So people who already know that they are going to attend your course can put it in.
A question here. If you form a consortium of 3 organizations, does it mean that the participants can come from those 3 organizations? Or can you invite participants from other organizations too? This is a very weird question. So the consortium of 3 organizations, are there sending organizations in this case? Or are you talking about a consortium of 3 course providers? Of course, if you are a consortium of 3 course providers, so course organizers, then this is a consortium and you receive participants from all over Europe, probably. If you are talking about a consortium of 3 sending, okay, I meant 3 sending organizations. How are you inviting participants then? So no, I think the answer is that if you have a consortium of 3 sending organizations, you send the people from those 3 organizations, you send them to courses abroad. I don't know what you mean by inviting participants, and certainly not from other organizations. You, as a consortium of sending organizations, you are supposed to send employees from the 3 organizations that you represent and no other people.
And to somewhere else, of course. Yeah, it's not meant that you attend a course of your own in another country. I mean, organized by yourself in another country, that's not the idea. No, they should be going somewhere else where they can learn things that they need to learn. Jens, hello Jens, you've got a good question as well. Will the NAs publish a list of all the institutions who receive the key Activity 1 grant after the selection procedure? Well, I think we will. The Commission normally says that we have to publish results of the selections after, I think, 6 months later. So maybe colleagues are willing to publish them earlier, or to let you know earlier who has had such a key Activity 1 or key Action 1 grant. Okay, yeah.
We will take 2 more questions and then we have to stop, I guess, because we started at 10:30. I see that the question from Nicolaus again. Who is eligible to be part of a national education consortium, and is it better to apply as an organization or as part of NEC?
So a national education consortium, well, this is something, this also depends on your country, I guess. You have to ask your national agency what they think of this. That's very hard for me to say what your national education consortium, what exactly is meant. I don't know whether you're talking about adult education or school education. For us in Flanders, national education consortia when it comes to umbrella organizations, are not eligible. It's only the schools that are then. So it's for me that's difficult to answer. I'm sorry. Ask your national agency. That's better. That's best, I guess.
Okay. I also get a message that this WebEx room is going to close at 12. So we have to close this meeting. We haven't been able to answer all the questions, but I think we have been able to answer a lot of the questions that were asked. So I hope that you are okay. You don't see us now. We were looking at the chat room, so sorry. Anyway, so I hope you liked this webinar, and I hope it was fruitful and useful for you. We had really a lot of people and a lot of questions, so I have the impression that this was useful and interactive. As I said, there is a recording of this webinar, but the first 15 minutes are out because I forgot to press the right button. Anyway, I think the rest, which is still 1 hour and 15 minutes, I hope that that is useful for all of you. If you like this webinar, tell your colleagues and tell other people. We will keep you informed through the GINCO.Net database, and perhaps we see you in the future. I will certainly create a newsletter out of the results from this webinar, and I will send that to everybody. Okay.
Lots of success with your courses and in the world of Erasmus+.
Thank you very much, and bye.
Congratulations.